Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Linda Tantawi, the Lustgarten Foundation CEO, and I'm delighted to be here tonight to welcome you, and I'm thrilled to be hosting our kickoff celebration. As some of you may know, I come from Susan G. Komen, Greater NYC, where we have a very long tradition of racing for the cure and fundraising for research. And now that I'm here at the Lustgarten Foundation, I can't wait to share my experience with you. And most of all, I can't wait to meet all of you on October 3rd. I know firsthand how much in-person events mean to all of you, to all of our donors in our teams. They're so vital in connecting us with our communities, getting out our message, and remembering those we've lost and celebrating their legacy in pursuit of cures. We're 6 weeks away from our 21st annual Long Island Walk, brought to you this year by our exclusive hospital sponsor, Northwell Health, and Bethpage Federal Credit Union. Please know we do plan to be in person. Please also know that we are closely monitoring COVID protocols. Your safety and the safety of our communities is our #1 priority. This year's fundraising efforts continue to focus on outreach to your friends and family, and if you to encourage support for our research from local businesses, connecting with families who are newly impacted, and celebrating with us on October 3rd at Jones Beach or wherever you feel most safe. Our National Director of Development and Events, Jason Rice, joins me today, and he'll be talking about messaging and fundraising suggestions. And also in today's program, we'll hear from Dr. Andy Rakeman, our VP of Research, Dr. Dave Tuason, our Chief Scientist, Lisa Crowley, who you all know so well, our dedicated Long Island Walk Coordinator, nurse practitioner Danielle Pinto, along with a few colleagues from the Northwell Health Pancreas Multidisciplinary Clinic, and 2 seasoned team captains who I'm thrilled to welcome today, Lisa Davis and Dr. Lynn Satine. And I promise both of them will inspire you by their commitment to the mission of the Lustgarten Foundation. And we are united in our dedication to funding bold, innovative research with the goal of transforming pancreatic cancer into a curable disease. When Mark Lustgarten was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, there were very few treatment options and scant research. Thanks to your sense of purpose and drive, we've made huge strides in funding research and translating research to life-extending treatments and groundbreaking trials. Before we continue with the rest of the program, just a few housekeeping items. We have about a 45-minute presentation for you this evening. We encourage you to put any questions you have in the Q&A box, which should be on the bottom left of most of your screens, and we'll do our best to answer your questions throughout the program. And now, Dr. Andy Rakeman, our VP of Research, is standing by to brief us on some of the advances our research has contributed and that you are all funding. Hi, Andy, welcome.
Hi, Linda. I'm so happy to be here. So happy to be able to talk with this group who's such a fantastic, I think, both inspiration for all that we do, but also the group that really drives and enables and raises the funds that allow us to do the work that we do here. And so I have just a few minutes to update on a lot of exciting things, and really 3 main points that I want to get across. Is one, that everyone here should be really excited about the research progress that's happening. There's lots of great things going on out there in the world, and we should be armed with some understanding of what they are. I also hope people leave with a little bit better understanding about how the Lustgarten Foundation works, how we fund research, and what sets us apart and makes us a little bit different than some other organizations out there and some other ways that research gets funded. But most of all, I hope everybody on this meeting tonight leaves with a real sense of pride that it's because of your efforts that this work is happening. And none of this would be happening without the great work that you and all of the supporters around the country and around the world do. So, at Lustgarten, we often say research is fundamental, and research is really where the whole of the foundation is grounded and starts, but it's research that's guided by patients and patient need. And that's really where it helps us to set the priorities and help to set where we're going to put our efforts going forward. And we know pancreatic cancer is a great challenge. And it's a great challenge for a number of different reasons. One, it's often diagnosed far too late. We can't find it early enough, and we don't know who's at highest risk. We don't have perfect treatments for everyone out there yet. We need new drugs. We need new ways to address this disease. And as you'll hear a bit more later from Dr. Tuvison, we often don't know which are the treatments that are likely to work in a patient and which are the ones that won't work that we should avoid that are only going to cause harm. And we need to be able to personalize better in our therapies. So while we're grounded in research, it's really that patient need that's guiding where all of our priorities go. And really what makes right now such an exciting time in my mind is if we look across all of these different priority areas, we're seeing progress. And we're seeing progress not just in new knowledge being gained, although that's happening at an alarming rate, but we're seeing progress in turning that knowledge into products that are going to be impactful for patients and for their families. So when we look at earlier detection, there's early fundamental research that we funded through Johns Hopkins to look at what kind of markers might be changing in people at the very earliest stages of diabetes. And that turned into a potential blood test that we're calling CancerSeek. That's now been spun out of Johns Hopkins and is moving into with a company to be developed as a commercial product that hopefully, if things go well, we can see getting out there as a way to diagnose not just pancreatic cancer earlier, but a number of different cancers as well. When we look, we've seen a huge advance over the last couple of years in thinking about what kind of new drugs might be available for people with pancreatic cancer. And that's really built on fundamental understandings about the biology of pancreatic cancer, why it's such a tricky disease to treat, how it hides from the immune system so effectively. And what I can tell you right now that's exciting is it's really turning into new clinical trials to test new approaches, new drugs, new combinations of drugs moving forward. In fact, we've seen such an acceleration of opportunities to move things to the clinic that we've started a whole new approach on how we're going to fund these new trials going forward. And under the leadership of Dr. Elizabeth Jaffe from Johns Hopkins, who's our chief medical advisor, we've put together a panel of the brightest of clinical researchers in pancreatic cancer from across the country who are helping us to scour the landscape, find opportunities for trials, and launch new trials in a way that's faster and smarter than we've done before, and do these in a very science-driven way that's not only going to tell us whether or not these drugs work, but teach us new things about the disease and better ways to treat it in the future. So lots of new opportunities in terms of new drugs. But at the end of the day, we still need to understand which drugs to put into which patients. Just like we're all different, everybody's pancreatic cancer is different, every tumor is going to be a little bit different, and we don't have the time to waste. Time is everything to try out therapies that aren't going to be effective against the patient. And so here's really where we're leaning into the great advances in biomedical technology that are out there in terms of what we can understand about genetics and genomics and proteomics, and the way we can culture pieces of a tumor and grow them out and study a patient's own tumor to drive this forward. And this is work that really was born out of some fundamental basic research done by Dr. Tuvison and his group at Cold Spring Harbor Labs to test out if this new technology called organoids could be applied to pancreatic cancer. And you'll hear the story from him in a few minutes through a video, but it's really this exciting story where he was able to see the new technology that was being developed elsewhere for other reasons, port that over into pancreatic cancer, show that it could work, and not just be happy there, but really do all of the efforts to build out on how could you apply this in a clinical setting, building out a lab that can run it to the standard that you would need to do to use it in a clinical setting, to then put this in place in a clinical trial that we're calling PASS1, to be able to test whether or not this technology can be used to select therapies more efficiently and better than the doctors can just by currently available technologies. And that's now moving forward. So you'll hear a bit more from Dr. Tuvison in a minute going forward there. And I know I kind of went through a lot at a very high level very quickly, but I think if you're going to take something away from it, it's that we're grounded in the research. We know research is fundamental, but we're guided by the patients and where the needs are. And what really sets an organization like Lustgarten apart that's really pushed along by the patients and the families is that continued focus on how do we take research and bring it to that next step and bring it closer to being impactful. make bold decisions, take on problems that are too hard for other folks to do, because we know that time is everything, progress is so paramount, and we need to be moving as fast as we can just for the patients. And again, I'll say this every time I ever meet somebody who's a supporter of the foundation. This only happens because you come out and support. Every bit of effort that you do of coming out to walk, talking to your neighbors is really what's driving this progress at the end of the day. So I hope everyone leaves here with a great sense of pride and carries that out to your walk teams and to the walk in October as a real celebration of what we've been able to accomplish together. So with that, I'm going to take a minute to pause, and if we can move to the video of Dr. Tuvison and his lab, and give you a real good sense about what it takes to turn this.
So what we're doing is taking a little piece of the cancer and growing it in a dish. We grow it in a structure called an organoid, which means organ-like. It's a little ball of cells. It grows very quickly. And then with these little balls of cells, we test therapies. We were trying to identify the penicillin for that patient's pancreatic cancer. So we've done the research on this that's been supported by the Lustgarten Foundation here at Cold Spring Harbor over the past 7 years. And we have found several startling things. We think we are able now to identify what's the best chemotherapy to give a patient with pancreatic cancer and what's the wrong chemotherapy. And this is important because patients are just treated and then we hope for the best. It would be better if we treated the patient based on what their tumor tells us is the right treatment. And with the support of the Lustgarten Foundation, here at Cold Spring Harbor, we've been able to build the organoid system into a method which is very robust and very rapid. We get the tissue from the hospital, we grow the sample. Within a week, we can see if we're successful, and within several days, we can test that sample with drugs. This trial will prove or disprove that our first experiments were correct. And if it's correct, we hope this is how all patients are treated, so that they're treated as an individual using medical information that the doctors have, using scientific information that we'll get from the organoids, put it together to come up with the right combination strategy for a patient with pancreatic cancer. And by doing so, I think we're going to help all kinds of people. So patient goes to the doctor, they have a lump, we don't know what's wrong, we get a biopsy, the pathologist tells us if it's cancer, the scientists tell us this is what the organoid shows. It's a cancer from the pancreas and it responds to this medicine but not that medicine. Very similar again to how people are treated for infections today. We want to know what it is, but mostly we want to know how to treat it. This personalized method using organoids should lead to many more responses, many more lives extended, if not lives saved. The Lustgarten Foundation, we've gone from a small organization of over 20 years ago to one that has had the biggest impact of any organization against this disease, because we have funded the fundamental science that has led us to new medical treatments for this illness. That's why supporting the research for pancreas cancer is probably the best way that anybody can have an impact on this terrible disease.
Thank you to Dr. Tuvison, who continues to lead our science program and continues to ensure that we are funding the best science with the best outcomes. And now many of you know and have worked with Lisa Crowley, who does such an amazing job with our Long Island Community Walk. And I just want to thank Lisa for all that she's done to ensure our success, your success, and the success of our community walks, and of course, the success of our very important Long Island Walk. So Lisa, take it away.
Welcome, Long Island. I'm Lisa Crowley, part of the events team at the Foundation. This year, the 21st annual Long Island Walk will take place at Jones Beach, or maybe just in your neighborhood, whatever you and your team feel comfortable doing. Either way, every dollar you raise will go towards research. Since 2001, the Long Island Walk has raised close to $18 million with over 70,000 walkers. That's incredible, and it's all thanks to you and your fundraising efforts. So far this year, we have 58 teams registered and the numbers keep growing. Every team is special, but I have a few highlights. Team Dragonfly, who has been with us since inception. That's 21 years of dedication. Team Mulcahy Strong, a new team who in 2020 had the most fundraisers for an all-virtual event. Team LP Crew, no matter when the website goes live, they are always the first to register. That's loyalty. But all our teams, big or small, new or old, join us because they believe in our mission. So please keep your fundraising momentums going and encourage family and friends to register for this day of hope for our survivors and remembrance for those we have lost. Come on, Long Island, we can do this together. Let's transform pancreatic cancer into a curable disease.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And we are so grateful to Northwell Health for sponsoring this year's 21st annual Long Island Walk and for being a year-round partner in the treatment and care of our pancreatic cancer patients. We have a word of welcome from our Northwell Health team.
Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Pinto, nurse practitioner for our Pancreas Center here at Northwell. Northwell is once again this year's exclusive sponsor for the 2021 Lustgarten Foundation Research Walk at Jones Beach. I have some of our team members here and we look forward to being at the walk this year in person. This cause is near and dear to us as a team because, as you know, research is key to improve treatment options and ultimately patient outcomes for our pancreatic cancer patients. So we hope that this walk will help spread awareness and also help to fund this important research in the future. So we're hoping for a big turnout this year in person and that you could join us for the walk at Jones Beach on October 3rd.
Let's beat pancreatic cancer!
Super, thank you so much, Northwell, and we look forward to seeing you at Jones Beach on October 3rd as well, and we look forward to you having a huge team this year and really showing everyone the important work that Northwell is doing in pancreas cancer. So thank you. And now I'm pleased to call on another member of the Lustgarten Foundation team, Jason Rice. Jason is our National Director of Development and Events, and he has some great ideas on messaging and fundraising so you all can get out there and be successful with your fundraising. Hey, Jason.
Hey, Linda, thank you. And good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and that you're as excited as I am for this year's Long Island Walk for Research. Once again, my name is Jason Rice, and I'm a director here at Lustgarten. And as of today, August 18th, we are officially 46 days away from the event. That is just a month and a half to go. So if you haven't had a chance to register yet, there's still time to sign up, to recruit your friends, your family, your coworkers, and of course, fundraise as much as possible for the pancreatic cancer research we're working on. And tonight we're going to go over the best way to jumpstart your campaign with the help of a few guests. But first, I just want to reiterate, in case some of you are coming late, we will once again be returning to Jones Beach State Park, Field 5, on Sunday, October 3rd. And I'm personally excited about this because I started here in November of 2019, so I missed that year's walk. And of course, last year we walked virtually, so this will actually be my first in-person walk in Long Island. So look forward to meeting many of you in person that day. Now, to date, there are no restrictions for group gatherings. However, as Linda mentioned, we want everyone to know that safety is top of mind. We continue to work with the Parks Department to plan for a safe gathering, and if need be, we'll send out timely updates if there are any changes. Now, for those of you who cannot attend our walk in person, we encourage you to still sign up and participate wherever you may be that day. The one thing that we learned from this past year is that whether you're walking with a large group and within our community, or you're just walking around your block with your family and your friends and your dog, the fundraising you do is what's truly making a difference in progressing our research. So once again, if you haven't already registered, you can go to lustgarten.org/Long Island Walk to join us. From there, it's easy to sign up as an individual. You can start your own team, or you can join an existing team. And if you don't have a team, you're always welcome to join my team, Team Lustgarten. But sign up soon so we can send you updates. For example, we'd like to invite team captains and participants to join us here in our office in Woodbury on Wednesday, September 29th and Thursday, September 30th for an open house to meet our team. You drop off any funds that you may have in advance, and of course, pick up your team's t-shirts that day. We also plan on having curbside pickup as well too. So more to come on that, but to get these kind of updates, you gotta be signed up. So let's talk a little bit about fundraising. As Dr. Rakeman had just mentioned earlier, we have a lot of amazing research in the pipeline, but research needs funding. That's why we're asking our Long Island community to come together this fall so we can help accelerate discoveries towards a cure. Now, how do we do that? Well, along with being armed with all this new information about research that your donors are going to be helping to fund, an important part of your fundraising campaign is telling your own story. Sharing why you are participating will motivate and inspire your donors. So be sure to include your story when you put up your fundraising page, or you send out your emails and social media posts, or your text messages. Yes, you should definitely be texting your friends and family with a link to your fundraising page. You can write it out and share photos, but we've also been challenging our participants to take over their social media feeds with short videos telling us why you're walking this year. And if you tag us at LustGardenFDN, we'll be sharing some of those stories on our own social media platforms leading up to the walk weekend. Speaking of social media, we want to make sure that you're aware that there is a new Facebook fundraising tool that we're encouraging you to use when you sign up. When you register, it will give you the option to create a Facebook fundraiser that will allow any donations you raise on Facebook to show up on your walk fundraising page. Now, if you're already registered and you haven't done this yet, you can still log into your dashboard, select the Facebook tab to create this fundraiser. And of course, our team is here to help you get this set up if you need a little help. Now, on average, what we found is anybody fundraising with Facebook can raise $300 to $500 in just the first few days using this tool. So it is a really great way to kick off your campaign. I've actually seen a few Facebook fundraisers raise thousands of dollars using it. But for it to work best, we recommend following up often, posting updates. It's a great way to thank your donors publicly. You can share pictures of your team. We actually saw a team get a lot of attention online by using their dog as a mascot and putting them in one of our purple shirts. So anything that you can do to bring attention to your posts these next few weeks will help get the word out. Finally, when it comes to fundraising, we also want to make sure you don't forget you can go offline to fundraise as well too. There are a ton of easy fundraising events you can hold. And we know with school starting soon, there are a lot of these ideas are also family friendly. So lemonade stands, car washes, garage sales, bake sales. For those of you who are still holding a few more barbecues left before the summer ends, fall sporting events. But you also can plan stuff with just the grown-ups too. We've seen a few wine tastings and trivia nights, potluck dinners. We actually have a team who told us today they're planning a yoga class, live music, cocktail party. I mean, really, at this point, any kind of party is going to get a lot of attention, and it's almost a guaranteed success. People are still really eager to meet up. And of course, please remind your donors that 100% of all donations you raise fund life-saving pancreatic cancer research. Time and again, we have heard that this message really compels your donors to give. So I just want you to take a moment to think about the importance of your role after hearing all of this. You help raise the funds, Lustgarden allocates them to promising research, and we get another step closer to advances in early detection and emerging technologies. But it all starts with you. So I'm very fortunate to have two special guests with me who have made a huge impact of their own with their fundraisers over the years. First is a longtime Long Island walk captain and one of our all-time MVP fundraisers. Please welcome Lisa Davis. Hi, Lisa. You might still be on mute, Lisa.
Okay, back on. Sorry about that. Hi.
There you go.
Good.
It's good to see you. So
Good to see you too.
Just a minute ago, I spoke about the importance of sharing your story to inspire your walkers and donors. And so what I was wondering is if you could tell us a little bit about why you walk and how you started Team Army for Frank.
Yep. So for me, back in January 2016, my husband Frank was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And from one of the first calls, we reached out to Lustgarden. I've always heard of Lustgarden, donated to Lustgarden, and they were a great resource. And that's when I learned a lot more about them. At that day, probably the second day, I formed Army for Frank. And what began as emails to a few friends wound up being emails to a team of, hundreds of people that were interested in what was going on with Frank with his treatment. And that became the list that first year in 2016. And we walked, and I told them we were going to be walking, saved the date. We got T-shirts, had over 100 walkers. And, you know, I equated the Army for Frank fighting against pancreatic cancer. Since then, my husband unfortunately did pass away in 2018, but myself and my children, we vowed, you know, this is a fight for us. And we've been walking for 5 years and have thus far raised just about $235,000, and really proud of it.
Tremendous. Yeah. You should be very proud of it. Yeah. So someone who has been fundraising as long as you have and has been so successful, are there any sort of strategies you use for kicking off your campaign? Any tips or tricks you might want to share with someone who's just getting started?
Yeah, you know, for me, I'm very organized. You know, I talked about that initial list, and that became my Gmail contacts. So I have my Army for Frank contacts. I reach out early in the summer, or as soon as I know the date, you know, save the date. You know, we hope you can walk with us. And that's when I start already, you know, sending out a link to my page. And some people donate right then and there. And my, you know, my family members, I send out their lists also. I get lists from Lustgarten from my previous donors, so I make sure I'm reaching out to the donors that have given before. And I do a detailed email, a personal email, again, why I'm walking. I always point out about Lustgarten. Every dollar goes, you know, towards research, which is very important. And that, you know, we have to continue the fight. We have some big donors, but a lot of small donors. One story, you know, Jason mentioned a lemonade stand. One of my friend's daughters, 8 years old, set up a lemonade stand. She was doing it for me, as well as her uncle had pancreatic cancer, and sent, you know, like a $23 check-in. Was so proud that, you know, that she had done that. So, you know,
that's
and
great.
Keep it personal, you know, keeping it personal. Yeah.
Now, have you guys leveraged social media in any part of your campaign?
Yeah. So like I said, I do a lot of emailing, you know, I find I like the personal touch, you know, usually, you know, it might be more than once during the year, but I definitely use Facebook, Instagram, where, especially as I'm getting closer, first of all, it reaches some people that are not on my list, or, you know, people that I've lost contact with, and they see it and then they donate. I also use it, hey, we're really close to our goal. You know, can you get us to our goal? So that works. I've also used it before the walk. You know, if a birthday for somebody that you're walking for, you know, put it up there, you know, consider donating, you know, in honor or in memory of that birthday. And this year I will try that Facebook button that you talked about.
Great. Well, if you need help setting that up, we're here to help you with that.
Yes, I might do that. Yeah.
And I think it's definitely worth mentioning again, just how much your team has raised since it's 2016. You guys are over $30,000. So I imagine your messaging this year is to get your team up and over that $250,000 mark, right?
Yeah, at least. And you know what? You know, you shouldn't be, you know, afraid to ask. There are a lot of charities out there. People will give if they want to give. And I've had so many people thank me for raising that money, because they know somebody, or, you know, their grandparent died of pancreatic cancer. And the research is the only way. You know what? It really is the only way how to find a cure.
Yeah, and I should mention too, you were one of our teams that also participated last year too. You guys walked virtually, and I think it's worth mentioning that even in the peak of the pandemic last year, we still had teams raise over $500,000 for the Long Island Walk, and you guys were a part of that. So we appreciate all the hard work and dedication, even during some of the toughest times. And it just goes to show that there are still people out there willing to give.
Yep.
Great. Well,
and
thank
even
you, Lisa.
walking, I was going to say, even walking virtually, you know, we couldn't all be at Jones Beach. We decided, my immediate family we went to Long Beach. That's where my husband grew up. You know, we walked on the boardwalk there, and there were other people walking there as well.
Great. Well, that's good. Well, Again, we hope people join us, but again, if there's people who feel more comfortable walking in another area, as long as they're out there and supporting us, we're still collectively raising a lot of funds for this research. So thank you so much, Lisa, and good luck.
Yep.
And I look forward to meeting you in person at the walk.
Yep. See you there.
Great. So next up, we have another team captain who is actually taking a different approach in recruiting her team. Dr. Lynn Satine, who has led one of our longest running corporate teams for our Long Island Walk, is here with us. Hi, Lynn, how are you?
Hi, Jason.
Lynn, hey, there you are. Great. So I was wondering if you also could start off by telling us about how you get involved in the walk.
So I grew up on Long Island, and like most of these walk teams, my personal angle was when I was a teenager, my father died of pancreatic cancer. And like a lot of the stories we've heard, it was a diagnosis, 4 months later, he was gone. At that time, like I said, I was a teenager. I went off to medical school. When I came back to Long Island, I was reading Newsday one day, and I saw that there was this Lustgarten Foundation, and I thought to myself, well, my family's been devastated by this disease. I live around the corner from the headquarters. I really need to get involved. And that was how I started. I actually started walking before I had my office join in. I started walking, I believe it was probably 11, 12 years ago with a medical colleague of mine. And then I started to talk about this walk in my office, and I soon realized that, and I had like 30-something people in my office, I realized that there were a lot of individuals in my office that had been affected by pancreatic cancer also. And we eventually came to the decision that we should just, group together as one team, strength in numbers, the common message, the common goal to raise funds. And we put it under the umbrella of our work name because that was the only thing that really bound us together, individual families coming together. And then we realized that in my company, there was another team using the similar name. So we bound up with that team, and that's how we were able to get even more people together. And we met people we didn't even know that worked in our organization that were walking for the same reason. And now it's kind of been an annual thing in my office. Come October, Dr. Satine and my head nurse, Stacy, and her husband, Dr. Salem, who have all been affected by pancreatic cancer, are going to be out there cheering everybody on to donate. So we're looking forward to October, hopefully at Jones Beach.
Well, that's great. That's terrific. How have you, over the years, got your other colleagues from ProHealth involved that maybe not have a connection to pancreatic cancer?
Well, I think in my office, I'm a pediatrician. We try to make a message to even our family members in the office that we as doctors do like to do things outside of the office to help other people, not just doing our work in our office. So we put up signs in the office to say we're donating money. Every Friday we'll do like a dress down Friday, and we'll donate. Well, now every day is a dress down during the pandemic, but at the time it was a dress down Friday, donate $1 to the communal pot, and every month we'll make a donation to a charity. And Lustgarten has always been like the top month of research. So clearly people have a connection to the group. One year we said, if you join the team, we'll get you purple socks. We do a tailgate in the parking lot at Jones Beach. We put up balloons. We'll wear purple in the office. When I did my flu clinic last year to vaccinate the children, my nurse gave me the purple team, and I wore my Lustgarten shirt when the kids came in, and it was in October. They saw that I was wearing the Lustgarten shirt. So we just try to, encourage people to donate. We don't even know. I'm sure there's families in the office that have been affected that we don't know personally. So.
For those people who are listening who've maybe just started a walk team or maybe have been doing the walk team for a while now, and it's mostly made up of their family and their friends and their neighbors, and they're thinking, wow, maybe I should be going back to my office and asking for folks to maybe participate. What's something you would tell them that they could go back to their office with to say, here's a benefit for our colleagues to get together and under this umbrella and participate together?
Well, I think it's good for an office to, on a certain level, reach out and do things after hours. We work so hard during the day, especially during something like the pandemic, but in general, we work hard, and it's nice to do something for another cause outside of work hours. And I found that I met people in marketing in my company at one point because of Lust Garden, because they reached out to us to ask us about it. I met people from different offices. You know, I'm pediatrics. We stay in our office. We don't usually mingle with, you know, other specialists. We're under our own roof. So it's nice to have camaraderie in your office. If you have a smaller office, you know, you work like a family, but your family has extended families, and that's what this walk has done for us, because we met people in the GI department who obviously take care of pancreatic cancer patients. We met people in the anesthesiology department, from the OBGYN department, because the only connection besides working in the same organization is we had a connection to the Lust Garden and funding for pancreatic cancer research. It makes for it makes for something fun after a very tiring day. We have something nice to look forward to, even though it's a horrible disease, but we're trying to do our best in our own little bit in this big puzzle to raise funds.
And, you know, I know I mentioned you as a corporate team, like technically that's sort of the umbrella you guys would fall under. But it really sounds like this is a grassroots effort, you know, as far as, you know, you really kind of beating the drum and getting your team organized and promoting it and doing the fundraising activities and the incentives.
Right.
So I think it's worth sharing, because I know a lot of times people think, oh, we have to have, you know, our company be a big sponsor or match gifts or things like that. But what you're really doing is just kind of word of mouth and organizing it on the ground.
Right. And we used our office name because that's the only, like, I couldn't call it Team Lynn or Team Stacy, because that's not what we are. We work in the same organization, and it kind of makes us, you know, united. And we can actually market it out through our individual office emails, and people we don't know will reach out and donate money, which is great, because then we'll say, come meet us at the tailgate. God willing, there'll be a tailgate this year, and we'll meet at Jones Beach.
Well, I hope to see you at the tailgate. That's my plan, is to stop by. And just, you know, I want to give you the same opportunity to brag a little bit as well, too. You guys have been participating since 2012. How much have you guys raised collectively since then?
So we've raised $43,000, which is a nice chunk of change, although bravo to Lisa and her army for what they're doing. That's awesome. But every bit helps. And, you know, that's
Absolutely.
what I tell the people in the office, you know, $1 a week is $50 a year. Even if it's $20, you know, everything helps. So we're very fortunate. I did not know what the total number was. So I'm actually I'm very happy to see that the number is up there, and we hope to raise even more this year.
Great. We hope so too. So thank you so much, Lynn. I appreciate you joining us, and we're so grateful for ProHealth's dedication over these last years to our mission, and of course for your leadership and Stacey's leadership for putting it together. And I really hope it does inspire those listening to reach out to their own offices and businesses to recruit your coworkers. So thanks again. And now, before I turn back to Linda, I just want to remind everyone that myself, Lisa, and the rest of our team are here to help you and your teams, whether it be with registration or fundraising or just general questions about event day logistics. So please, we encourage you to reach out. We're happy to help. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Linda.
So thank you, Lynn and Lisa, for your amazing work and for your dedication to the Lust Garden Foundation, and for working so hard to fundraise, and for being such a source of motivation to your team. So thank you. We do have a couple of questions, one which I can answer, one which I can possibly answer or partially answer. And Andy, I might need you to hop back on if you're still here. So someone's asking about masks at the walk. Yes, we will recommend that people wear masks, but please know that we are working closely with the Parks Department and following their recommended protocols, as well as the protocols of the state and the county. And we will also work with our friends at Northwell Health, and we'll follow any guidance that they have. We, again, our number one priority is to keep everyone at the walk safe. And then there is a question from one of our participants about his wife, who passed away 10 years ago from inoperable stage 4 pancreatic cancer, with a question as to what the current prognoses are for all the various stages, which would be a really long answer. And so much has changed in the past 10 years. We know so much more about genetics and genomics and different treatments that can be used for each individual patient, which is what Dr. Tuvison was saying, is that matching the right treatment to the right patient. But Andy, if you're here, do you want to just comment for a minute on that?
Yeah, I can make a quick comment. And like you said, Linda, it'll be tough to go through all of the data out there, but I think, as everyone here probably knows, pancreatic cancer still remains one of the deadliest cancers out there. And that's sort of underscored by the fact that just recently people started celebrating that the 5-year survival rate for pancreatic cancer at all stages just crossed into the double digits. So it's about 10% 5-year survival rate for pancreatic cancer, which, although we celebrate that it's moved into the double digits, it still shows that there's a long way to go, and that number is far, far too low. Now, most of the improvement in that seems to have been driven by the ability to diagnose more patients at earlier stages. So if you go to the earliest stages where the tumor is operable, the 5-year survival rate gets closer to 40%, but in folks at stage 4, like this gentleman's wife, it's still very low 5-year survival rates, and I think the average survival time still remains around 1 year for people at that advanced stage, which really, I think, points to why we need to have strategies that not only really try to address all of the big challenges out there. That one, we need to be diagnosing people earlier because we know we have surgery available and surgery works and surgery saves lives. But we also need treatments that are going to work better at people at all different stages, because we know that people will still continue to be diagnosed at late stages, even if we have technologies to catch the bulk of people earlier. So it is why it's so important to be continually driving towards not only better diagnoses, but better treatments and better tools to know how to use those in the future. So it's a bit of mix of good news and bad news there, where things are moving in the right direction, but there's still a lot of work to be done, which is why we're all still here.
Thanks, Andy. And as a follow-up to that question, shout out to Sue's Cruisers, who have walked and donated for the past 10 years. So thank you for that. And we look forward to seeing you in October. And we do have another question. But anyone who has a specific question about prevention of pancreas cancer or anything medically related, if you wouldn't mind calling the foundation tomorrow morning, and we'll have you speak with Sharon Sarelson, who's the person in our office who deals with these types of questions. So people can please always reach out to the foundation so we can answer your questions and make sure that you are getting the right information. So again, so we're ready to wrap up. I look forward to meeting all of you at Jones Beach on Sunday, October 3rd. But again, if you're more comfortable walking in your neighborhood, please make sure that you post pictures on Facebook, on Instagram. Make sure you use the hashtags Team Lustgarten, Research is Fundamental, Community is Power. Please be sure to register. If you haven't already, even if your team plans to walk in your neighborhood, please make sure that you register your team. Please use lustgarten.org/Long Island Walk. We unfortunately are having a bit of an issue with the walk search function on the website right now. We hope to have that remedied within the next day or so. So it's lustgarten.org/Long Island Walk. And as Jason said, if you have any trouble, please email the office, call the office, and we will help you register your team. And then just as a reminder, for those of you who I know you're so interested in the research that we're doing, you can keep up to date through our amazing program called Lustgarten Live. They're quarterly briefings brought to you directly from our scientists, all about the progress that you are making possible through your fundraising and your donations. Mark your calendars. The next broadcast is Wednesday, September 22nd at noon. The program is called From the Lab to You, Clinical Advances in Pancreatic Cancer Research. And you'll have an amazing opportunity to hear two of the world's most respected pancreatic cancer researchers, Dr. Elizabeth Jaffe from Johns Hopkins and Dr. Brian Wolpin from Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. And they will lead an in-depth conversation about the progress of the 3 Lustgarten-funded clinical trials that are currently underway. Again, thanks to all of you for your fundraising and for your donations that allow all of this amazing research to happen. And there's one more question: how do you volunteer? Again, please email the foundation, call the foundation, and we will set you up with the right people to talk to about volunteering. Thank you all.